And welcome everybody to the first ever episode of Keeping It True Bayou Pelicans here on the True Bayou Sports Media Network. We are so excited to have you all here. This is going to be just the beginning of our Pelicans coverage. We are getting excited for a new year, a new team in many ways, and a lot of fun things that are to come for the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, this is your first time here on the channel, on the network. Some important things to know: we cover everything in the Bayou region. Now, particularly being anchored in Louisiana, we cover teams such as, of course, your New Orleans Pelicans on a regular and outstanding basis. So with that, major news this week, as the Pelicans announced not only the official name, but also the footprint of the initial footprint, also might I add, of the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. We're going to get that right. It's going to take a little while to get it right, but it is the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network, which is going to be produced by Gray Media. We're going to start trying to call it GCSEN. That's what they said, not me. And this is going to be amazing for Pelicans coverage. If you've been around with the team since the beginning, you had CST in the beginning. That certainly was an experiment that did not pan out great for everybody who was trying to become a Pelicans fan at the time. It was always the, do you have CST? Do you not have CST? That attempted to be solved by Fox Sports New Orleans, which was really just a vanity of Fox Sports Southwest, which brought New Orleans into the Dallas market for everything else. And you oftentimes were lacking Pelicans coverage because they were the sub-network on the Dallas station. Not always the best. Then once, of course, the purchase of Fox Sports took over and you became Bally's, still the same production company, but name change, so forth and so on. A lot of people were basically done at that point. And no matter what you had with Sinclair, Diamond, whoever was sort of in the controls at the time, I think that the main thing that Pelicans fans enjoyed greatly was, of course, Joel Myers, Antonio Daniels, at the time, David Wesley even, and sidelined by Jen Hale. But one of the things that I think was always lacking was a competent method to get the game in front of the fan. And this is something that finally I think might be the early solution. Now, as of right now, if you are a fan of the team, you're going to have to maybe start shopping over-the-air antennas, as Gray Media, being an over-the-air television company, largely produces some of the main stations that you're familiar with watching for news. If that's Fox 8, WAFB, KSLA, so forth and so on. If you're in Biloxi, if you're in Jackson, all the way over to Mobile at the moment, all the way over, really you could call Shreveport the upper end of this, as they'll be extending into Texas, they'll be extending into Arkansas, as well as the Monroe station. And the Mobile station will be broadcasting all the way over to Pensacola. So the Pelicans will now have a 6-state footprint. Believe it or not, 6 states will be a part of this Pelicans coverage. Now, realistically, what does that mean? It means 7 million people. You saw the title of the episode, how the Pelicans will triple their fan base year one with the new media partners. So, look, here's the thing. A lot of people are excited about the new TV coverage, but I do have to remind you, and it's something that I don't think gets enough talking about. I don't think it's been highlighted enough. The Pelicans have switched their radio coverage as well to WWL. Now, WWL is, of course, as a radio station, an absolute flamethrower. I'm going to attempt to spare you the 4 years of radio knowledge that I accumulated in school and tell you some of the basics that you need to know. What this means is that on an average night, you will be able to hear New Orleans Pelicans basketball in Houston, Texas, and almost in Tampa, Florida. It will be possible. Now, on a great night, whenever you get this thing called skywave propagation, there's no telling how far away from New Orleans you'll be hearing Pelicans basketball over the air, on the radio, across the country. there is something that is so important about having what is known as a clear channel when it comes to your sports broadcasting. I think this is one thing that helps the Saints be so strong in the region. Now, of course, you're going even way further back before you had, the streaming and the internet broadcasting and so forth and so on. There's something about being able to be basically anywhere, and all you have to do is flip a switch and the game is on. You can get the latest about your team. You do not have to worry about, do I have a good enough connection to get on the shady streaming site that may or may not have the game, or the non-shady streaming site that also has struggles with me being able to even get it open and running. This now makes sure that as long as you can connect to a radio or you can plug an antenna into a TV, the Pelicans are on and the Pelicans are wherever you are. This is so important. It doesn't matter if you have internet. It doesn't matter if you have cable, satellite, whatever you want to have. You don't need it anymore because the Pelicans are for the entire Bayou region. And I mean that seriously. This is Mobile, Alabama. This is Jackson. This is Houston. This is Lafayette. Now, one of the gaps in the TV coverage map that was so talked about on all the comment sections was, how are you going to leave Lafayette out? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? Fact of the matter is, Gray Media does not currently own a TV station in the Lafayette region. So yes, they did in principle have to leave it out. At the moment, you can currently point your antenna towards Lake Charles or point your antenna towards Baton Rouge. You should be able to get them faintly, but to my understanding and from what I'm hearing, it's going to be resolved with Gray purchasing a local station in the Lafayette market to be able to broadcast the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. I really hope the acronym catches on. That is a mouthful. But nevertheless, and then also a lot of people say, well, Squadron's over in Birmingham. Why were they not on the map? Also, it seems as though Gray Media is doing their best to be able to secure this is something that will be available in that market. So you could realistically be all the way from Birmingham, Alabama, all the way down into the Beaumont, like I said, Houston region. Now that's more on radio, but also on TV. You're going to get all the way over to, Orange, Texas. You're going to get over into the Texarkana region. You're going to get all of southern Arkansas, as well as most of southern Mississippi. This is extremely viable as far as building a fan base goes. The Pelicans, like it or not, New Orleans is a small metro. It is probably, if I had to guess, one of the 3 smallest metros, because that changes depending on population and how it moves and fluctuates. I currently think, after this census comes out 2030, maybe we're not the smallest, but we're certainly going to be close. But what happens whenever you basically take everywhere that is not Dallas, Houston, or Memphis's market, as long as we're still in the Southwest Division and those are still our divisional opponents, everywhere else is now Pelicans territory. And that's a huge market. You talk about 7 million people, you're getting into one of the largest cities in the country at that point when you talk about a metro population that size. This really could give the same type of cemented foothold that the Saints have in the region to the Pelicans. You're never going to see a complete overlap between those two fan bases. Too many complications, too many other things going on. But I mean, this has a great opportunity to get a lot better than it was. Some other things we'll talk about. It's obviously too early to really get into nitty gritty, but let's just kind of talk a little bit about what we'll kind of see from this project here on the channel, on the network. Some things to sort of be looking out for as we get ready. Training camp is just a few weeks away, and the first game preseason is on October 7th, so much sooner than you may be thinking, just a few weeks away, and we're happy to be able to cover it. You're going to have a pretty fun day. It'll be a Pelicans preseason day game. I'm not sure why it's scheduled like that, but that is what the team says right now, so we'll stick with it. That's Monday, October 7th, during the day in New Orleans, because how do we know that that's October 7th in the day in New Orleans? Well, it's pretty important because October 7th, the Saints will be on the road in Kansas City playing the Chiefs. Again, who made that schedule? Why is it like that? I don't know. I guess maybe, whenever you own two teams, you get to kind of protect one or the other. So I guess you didn't want to overlap, particularly when it comes to radio coverage, things of that nature. But that's some things to sort of be looking out for. Schedule's coming up soon. It's going to get more fast paced as we get closer. You have, of course, all the off-season roster moves. You lose players that have been around with the team for a while now since the Willie Green era, like a Jonas Valanciunas, now going to be splitting time between players like Daniel Deeses. I'm going to get that right. But him, you have Yves Missi. You have a lot of players who are going to sort of be playing that center role. And then, of course, beyond that, you got Brandon Ingram, who's kind of that guy who's like, how did he get left here? Why is he still here? Look, I don't know what they're going to do yet as far as the trade opportunity goes. I think one of the fun things that we can enjoy about this Pelicans team this year is that as we approach the trade deadline, as we're getting closer, it's going to become a lot of question marks. And, as much as this Pelicans leadership, David Griffin, loves to do things that are kind of predictable and steady, I could see a major blockbuster trade deadline deal. You have CJ McCollum, who's an older player whose contract is not what it once was. It's less of a threat. There could be a younger team who's looking for someone with that type of leadership. And you have Brandon Ingram, who has the ability, should he play in the way that he's capable of, to be an all-star. So a lot to be seen there, a lot to be on the lookout for. Of course, you have players that'll be going into their continuing rookie deals, if that's Jordan Hawkins that you're looking at, actual rookie in Antonio Reeves, Trey Murphy, who will be positioning to get that big contract signed. And then, of course, other players who have to step up. You're going to see some things from Jeremiah Robinson-Earl that maybe wasn't his role last year. Jose Alvarado might have an increased role following his Olympic experience and with the reshaping of the roster. So many things to be looking out for, so many things to be keeping our eye on. I'm excited, and I think all of you will be certainly getting the best from what I can provide in many ways for this Pelicans coverage. I like to consider myself a Pelicans diehard, somebody who truly lives with the team in a way, because you think about it. Of course, I love all of our Gulf South, all of our Gulf Coast teams, not the ones that I don't like. You know what we're talking about there, but you think about LSU, you think about the Saints. Those are programs, be it you're an alumni, be it you're, a longtime fan. The one thing with the Pelicans that those don't have is that it has always been a challenge, and I mean this sincerely, a challenge to be a Pelicans fan. It has been a struggle. You had to do it intentionally. And we're going to try and make it to where being a Pelicans fan through the community we build here on this channel, on this network, plus the fact that hopefully better days are to come. We can maybe see an extended playoff run. Who knows? And who knows what else could come. There is so much that will be seen this season, so much that we haven't seen yet. And the fact is, if the level of production that's being promised is kept, if the level of accessibility that is being promised is kept, and all you have to do is buy a $25 antenna to a TV you already have, or you have to put on the radio to a station that's easy to get no matter where you are in the region, It's going to be a fun season to be a Pelicans fan. Once again, my name is Donald. I've been your host today. I'll be your host on every episode here on Keeping It True Bayou. This is a series across the entire network. So if you want to know the latest about the Saints and the hot start that they're on with Derek Carr looking like an MVP, with LSU and their attempts to recover that opening season loss and go into the Ole Miss game 4-1, of course, with UCLA this week, go ahead and look at that. And if you want all of this, if you need all of this coverage, Keeping It True Bayou Sports Media, True Bayou Sports Media Primetime is the home for everything. That's where we keep it with the best and most important news of the week. It's all on True Bayou Sports Media Primetime, and we look forward to seeing you on not only this show but the other shows to come. It's excited to have basketball right on the horizon. We'll be bringing these shows about weekly until that first preseason game, and then we'll get into more immediate coverage as games are being played. So with all to come, let's enjoy it. The off season's almost over, and this has been Keeping It True Bayou Pelicans. Thanks. This has been a True Bayou Media production. This show is for entertainment purposes only and does not render legal or financial advice. Remember to bet responsibly. Distribution of this podcast is prohibited without the express written consent of True Bayou Media or its subsidiaries. Thanks for being true by us. We can't wait until next time we keep it true by you.